The transgender mess today. Let's continue with the series. Today we're going to drill down on my ideas why trans advocacy is so dangerous when it comes to children. You got a little bit of a taste this morning with the shorty I did in response to a trans advocacy group that expected me to be a rah-rah cheerleader for them in the way that they believe children should be educated. Stay tuned. Let's tear into it. And if I could take a moment, if you're new to the channel, please take a moment and subscribe. I don't do too much in the way of advocacy, but when something is wrong, something's wrong. And as a long-standing member of the transgender community, particularly on YouTube, having been here 10 years now, and acquired a little bit of a following, it's important that we use our platform occasionally to speak up for things that we believe in or don't believe in that could be very detrimental to society. And what I think these days is going on with a lot of trans advocacy crosses the line. Now, I can't for a fact that say everyone that is a trans advocate that advocates for children to get gender affirming or gender questioning care is not of a, their heart's not in a good place. I can't say that. What I can say is put out something that maybe you haven't thought about before. And this is not going to be a long one today, but I want to put out the idea that when you advocate, and I've talked about this before, equality is not to be confused with advocacy or inculcating children with ideas that could just be plain wrong and could be destructive to their lives. We don't do that in school. School starts with an idea of individuality. A kid comes in, separates from parents, comes into a school setting, elementary, kindergarten. You learn that suddenly you're not the center of the universe anymore. There's 20, 30 little planets circling around, and you're one of them, okay? The teacher's the son, the teacher's the boss. The teacher has a position of real authority. But we learn early on values of how to get along with other people. We learn that we are not the center of the universe. We also start to learn early on that we're part of a bigger operation. We have ideas of citizenship that are taught, that we're not alone in the world. We're a country amongst I don't know how many other ones in the world. And you start to broaden out a child's understanding that it doesn't all revolve around them in life. And little by little, we introduce topics of things that we think children need to learn in school. And the basis of that is reading, writing, arithmetic, and to some extent socialization. But when we start to move into an advocacy role, and some of it, I have to say, I think is nefarious. It's driven by an evil desire to upend society and cause society harm. Now, before I go further into that, let me just say, to me, as I've said before, being trans is something that comes from within. Okay, it's not something that you need somebody preaching at you and saying, oh, Rosie, this could be the problem, this could be the issue, or you're a small child, and you have somebody stepping forward and telling you this is an alternative idea you may think about that could be causing you to stumble in life. We know that it comes from within. Nothing outside has any influence on it at all. You're either transgender or you are not. Of course, there's various stages, denial, there's dressing, there's all kinds of various aspects to the whole being of transgender. But I'm worried about is when you teach kids using gender-bred dolls, and you put gender starts to be at the forefront of what kids are learning about in life, you create a large measure of confusion in your mind. And it may be an idea that they readily adopt when they're younger, but it's an idea that's planted in their head. So by the time they reach, especially with the influence of social media, by the time they reach the age of 10, 11, 12, 13, they're starting to think about themselves in relation to where do they stand in their peer group? Where do they stand in terms of are they better? Are they worse? How are their looks? My personality? Why aren't I in with the in clique, the out clique? And we start to make evaluative judgments of ourselves. And sometimes those judgments can cause us a lot of mental anguish and pain when we don't see that we fit in with a group, and all of a sudden one day we're just one of the kids, and the next day, for whatever reason, maybe I'm a little on the plump side, or my eyes googly or something, and all of a sudden I'm an outcast in the group. My physicality has become a negative for me. Well, then some measure of children, as they grow up, will start to experiment with ways to feel better about themselves. Some will explore the pathway of self-actualization through maybe music or art, but some measure of them are going to find relief in drugs and abuse and alcohol and things like that. And overconsumption of social media is going to put ideas in their head. And what this is going to do, what this transgender topic, advocacy, is going to do, it's going to give them another thing that they could wrongly identify as why their life may not be on track. Okay, I'm not attractive to my friends, right? I'm an outcast in the group. I feel like socially awkward. I don't even know who I am. But then I think back in my mind, ooh, we learned about being transgender and what it's like to be born in a body different than your, the gender that you perceive in your mind. Yeah, it all starts to click into place, right? This may explain why I'm unhappy, and all of a sudden a kid goes headlong, a boy or girl goes down this pathway of discovery because I put it on a par with drug abuse or alcohol. All of a sudden it becomes a potential outlet for self-destruction for them, guided by people that are influenced by money. Many of them may have good intentions. Some of them have evil intentions. Some of them only see people as numbers and pawns in a scheme to advocate inequality for a particular group, in this case being transgender. Just in your face. If you don't like it, look at what we're doing now. Okay, my point is, we give children, especially adolescents, with this knowledge, another tool to wreck their lives. On a par with drugs and alcohol, yes. Because once gone down this road, then suddenly it's society says, oh, it's okay, you got an issue, you got a gender issue, we got counseling, we have surgery, we could put you on hormones, yeah, if your parents are against it, we can take care of that too, as they do in the LA school district and other. We push parents aside. Get a tattoo, you need a parent's permission. But get gender-changing care, right? Yep, you can make that decision all on your own. This is why I think trans advocacy is such a dangerous thing, because it puts another potential weapon of destruction in the hands of kids that naturally might find their way through without going down such a destructive path of gender change and, God forbid, body modifications and things like that over time they could definitely come to regret. And I think that there's many people, many children that are going to have basis for a lot of lawsuits going forward. There's going to be a lot of pain to come. And I, for one, am glad to see society push back. As I said before, teach kids to read, write, speak well, be able to understand what it is to be in a community, in a nation of citizenship and things like that, religious values, if that's appropriate to you and the child. But when you introduce different options that could potentially destroy a life, you're doing a child no favor. Trans comes from in here. If you're transgender, there's no escaping it, okay? It doesn't come from out here in social media. And that's a huge mistake that's been made today. Hey, I'm Rosie O'Kelly, and I approve this message. And if you agree, please share it out, because I think it is an important one. If you're not subscribed, please make sure you're subscribed. I do mostly fun stuff here, but sometimes I gotta open my big mouth when a wrong needs to be righted. Thumbs up or appreciated. Thanks, everybody.